Okay. But we can't be early.
Was there?
It's 5:29. I'll be at Tony time teller. 5:30. Okay. This meeting is now called to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Lobo, Commissioner Walton, Commissioner Moulton,
Present.
Commissioner White, Commissioner Gaines, Vice Chair Nielsen,
Here.
Chair Maxwell.
Present.
For the record, we have a quorum.
Okay, item number 2, public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Seaside, but not on this agenda, may do so during the public comment period for up to 3 minutes. Comments on specific agenda items are heard under that item. For the public record, please state your name.
Members of the public in the chamber wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium.
Okay, seeing no members of the public in the chamber or approaching the podium, public comment is closed. Okay, business item number 3 is a review of the agenda. If there is any items that arose after the 72-hour posting deadline, this is the point in the meeting where a vote may be taken to add the item to the agenda. A 2/3 majority vote is required. I ask that we add an agenda item, which would be 4B to under business items, and that entails canceling the regular scheduled meeting for June 17th. Have a second? Okay, it's been moved by the chair. And seconded by Commissioner White to cancel the regular scheduled meeting June 17th.
When could the commission make a comment?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to add an item to the agenda, which would be 4B, with concerning canceling the meeting of June 17th, 2024. So now, under the question, Commissioner or Vice Chair Nielsen.
Can you give a reason for wanting to cancel that meeting?
Yeah, I can, because personally, I don't like really having meetings back to back to back. You know, I do like to have meetings on a regular basis, and we do need to have meetings on a regular basis, but this meeting was called tonight, a special meeting to catch up on meetings that we had missed in the past. So I don't really, I think it's too soon to meet again next week. That's my personal opinion. And I think other people would be in agreement, I hope. Commissioner Gaines Lynch.
Do we have any agenda items for that week, Do we have any agenda items?
To my knowledge, we have one item so far on the agenda that is not of any time crunch, if you will.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, should we do a roll call vote?
We can,
So I do have a
Commissioner
question.
Lobo?
So when would be our next meeting? If we don't have the 17th, would it be July?
correct. It would be the third, our normal regular scheduled meeting in July.
17.
Okay, thank you.
It's the third Monday of July. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, roll call vote.
So just a reminder to add an item to the agenda. It does require 2/3 majority or 2/3 vote. So I will read a roll call. Commissioner Lobo,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton, Commissioner Moulton,
Yes.
Commissioner White, Commissioner Gaines, Commissioner Vice Chair Nielsen,
Yes,
Chair Maxwell.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes to add this item to the agenda to discuss whether or not to cancel our June 17th meeting.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on to business item 4A. Discuss and adopt the Parks and Recreation Commission fiscal year 2024-2025 work plan. And I would just like to make a comment before we delve into this. I really appreciate all the work that Commissioner Moulton put into this. It was really well thought out, and I do appreciate all your hard work on this. I just wish we could have done it a little bit earlier in the time frame, but it's done now, so thank you, and let's proceed.
For the record, Commissioner Lobo also did
Oh, I'm sorry.
submit a document too.
Didn't mean to discount you. My apologies. Yes, Vice Chair Nielsen.
I would have to say that since these were requested to be in before our meeting, they came in so late, it was kind of not really possible to review them before the meeting. So I hope that we have time to hear from the people who did submit their new work plans this afternoon, so we can understand what the thinking is.
Good point. Commissioner Moulton.
I submitted this 2 Mondays ago. I was under the impression that it was emailed to everyone. Okay, so you guys have had it for 2 weeks.
That is correct. Commissioner
sorry.
Moulton did submit his and we did email his out, and then we got Commissioner Lobo's this afternoon or this
Oh,
morning.
sorry.
Okay. Well, how should we do this here?
Well, just a little background. So as you all know, we discussed the Parks and Rec work plan at the April 15th meeting. Before making the decision to approve the current work plan that was discussed prior, there was some discussion about bringing it back and reviewing and adopting it another one. So here we are. We have 2 commissioners that have put in some work to update our current work plan and made some recommended changes to that document. And now the commission can go through it figure out how they would like to incorporate it into the document and approve for the 24-25 work plan. Just one note of importance that just needs to be made aware of is that part of Commissioner Lobo's work plan does recommend modifying the ordinance, which can't be done at this meeting. That would need to be brought in front of the city council for a recommendation first to modify the ordinance. And then if they approve the recommendation to modify it, then we can do the work that would be necessary to actually make those changes.
Excuse me. Well, maybe you guys should just go through page by page. And I do appreciate that, these areas are highlighted. And especially at the top, keep in mind there should only be 5 items per commission's handbook. No, I understand that, and I totally, it is in the handbook. And we kind of lost sight of that through our earnest endeavors into making lots of stuff happen. So,
Chair, if I may,
yes, sir.
I would recommend having each of the commissioners kind of go through their adaptations of the work plan and highlight the areas that they would like to see, and then they could bring up the discussion between the commission as a whole.
Okay, that sounds good. Why don't we start with Commissioner Moulton?
Okay, thank you. Well, the first thing that you'll find on the, I guess it's the 3rd page at the bottom, it says 1, it's in the footer area, and that's adding an item to the work plan, which talks about adjusting the ordinance like Commissioner Lobo had suggested at the last meeting. It was clear last meeting that an actual ordinance change wasn't going to be possible without city council, but it's something that she's clearly passionate about, and it is a bit antiquated and something that we should bring up to date. So we could add, that's that item there is adding, working on the ordinance change to the work plan. Number 2, I'm looking at the far left column on page 4. That's the CIP and budget review. That seems fine. We have plenty of time, as you see in the timeline for completion is April 2025. The second item down with a red mark, I talked about this one last time, but increasing the community's awareness is part of what our job as a commission is. So I saw it to be a bit redundant. So the red line means I thought it should go away. Working down to number 3, I also talked about this at the last meeting. You'll see it says remove or see proposed changes in the right-hand box. To me, once again, and my reasoning is the same as last meeting. I'm not against grant funds. What I'm against is it taking our eye off of work plan items. We're here, we're working to like make a work plan that we can focus on. And a lot of times when grants come up, it's like 3 meetings worth of stuff just for that grant that was never even on the work plan to begin with, which ends up backlogging things. So if there's a way to target work plan specific grants, that would be awesome. So that was my thought there. Number 3 was just basically bringing together it's number 4 on the original work plan, but number 3 in the far left-hand side column. That one is just condensing 3 items from the original work plan, number 4, number 9, and number 13, into one item, and then keeping it on the work plan. I discussed this at the last meeting as well. It says work cooperatively with FOSPA and other city commissions. And the proposed activities is collaborate with other city commissions and FOSPA. And that's something that we do in tree planting and supporting community gardens already. So to me, it made sense to just kind of make it into one super item and keep it on the agenda. Just to draw back to what Chair Maxwell said, we're only supposed to have 5 of these items on here according to the commissioner's handbook. So I just wanted to, I'm trying to condense as much as I can. On the next page, original work plan number 5, attend workshops. I suggest that we incorporate this into the mission statement revision. Number 6 on the original work plan. It's also covered by the basic duties of our commission per the handbook on number 9. That is seeking input from the community and raising awareness with the community. Anything with a green line, it's color coded for your convenience. You can just assume means move to the ongoing project section, which is the section that's behind this section. So exploring the trail system could potentially be moved to ongoing projects. Blues in the Park collaboration could also be moved to ongoing projects. The next one is one of the ones that I said we should lump into the super thing where we work with FOSPA and other commissions. So that could be removed. The next 2 are ones that as well could be moved to the ongoing projects section, since these are things that we're always looking at and kind of doing on a consistent basis. If so, number 12 on the original work plan, number 4 on my little highlighted thing there. All I suggested was that we change the status from high to low, since literally of the 17 that were on here originally, 16 were rated as high and only 1 medium, no low. So I just suggested changing the level of importance or whatnot. The next one is another one that can be lumped in with the working with FOSPA for tree planting, community gardens, and cooperation. I didn't even understand number 14. If you have youth involvement in parks, right? So I get that, but you advocate for having youth interns assist at parks. That one, I don't even understand. Is that like you want like someone to be there to play with the kids, or are we talking about like supporting recreation programs? I wasn't clear on it, so.
I am in the understanding that it is for us assisting public works in the maintenance of the parks. So we have our youth intern program. So having those interns go and work in the parks as they did during COVID.
Okay. Cool. I didn't, you can see my notes here. It was unclear. The next one, which is my number 5, old work plan number 15. I didn't do anything with it. On the next page, number 16, on the old work plan, Parks and Recreation Commission community event. There's just not enough time to complete it. It's due next month, and we're talking about canceling or we would have a meeting in July, but there's only 2 agenda items tonight, and this is not one of them until the meeting in July. So I suggested removing it because there's not enough time to complete it. And finally, number 17 on the old work plan, I suggest that we move to ongoing projects. That was all I really had. I think that gets the total number down to 5 as far as like the work plan items, which does fall into the 5 that are per the commission's handbook. And it doesn't necessarily remove everything. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, six that moved to ongoing projects, and let's see, two of the red lines are actually meshed into one existing on number three of mine, number four on the original work plan. So that's all I got. I didn't do too much with the mission statement. I knew that Commissioner Lobo is pretty fired up about that, so I'm excited to hear what she has to say about it. But I do actually, that's six. No, that's five. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, is that the? Oh,
Maybe
okay.
that should, excuse me for
Well-
interrupting, but maybe that should have a green line.
Yeah, actually, now that I look at it, if you look in the far right column, it says ongoing already. So that's probably something that could go to ongoing since it already says ongoing. Yeah, I think that works.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you want to go next? Commissioner Lobo.
So this was a document that I had at our last meeting. I did tweak it a little bit to include our current work plan goals that we've had. I am requesting that at the next council meeting in July, this request to begin the changing in the ordinance be done on our behalf by Dan. When we talk about the background, I kind of just established that it's been the inception was 1954, and these are our current duties. I highlighted some of them just specifically because we haven't like the facilitation of a plan for the development, conservation, and care of trees, trails, and parks. These are the ones that we've focused on from my time that I've been here in the last couple of years, but we've kind of left off the rest of them. Like we haven't made recommendations on policies on recreational services and facilities to the recreation director and the city council. So that's what we currently have. Our current mission on item number B is what we have currently that has been in session since 1954. Right underneath that, I have a proposed vision, mission, and value statement, and that's something that we can develop as we go once we have the ask from our liaison to the council. It's just a proposed vision and a proposed mission, as well as a proposed value, and so it kind of incorporates what we already do, but it more streamlines on objectives that we can meet on a yearly basis. When you go into section C is the work plan proposal. I also have 5 items, and within those items, I've added areas of interest that we can target within those goals. So the first one is the advisory body to the city. We've always been an advisory body, but as an ongoing activity, areas of interest would be the review and change yearly commission ordinance, or as needed, that incorporates Commissioner Moulton's first goal of changing the ordinance. So I'm proposing that we do that this year as an area of interest, and then we can talk about whether we want to do that on a yearly basis or on a every 3-year basis. I did speak to the city clerk, and they are doing an overhaul of the ordinance and going through the ordinance to see what needs to be updated and brought up to date. This commission ordinance is not on their targeted list anytime soon. So we would be the first to actually be doing the overhaul of the ordinance. So I'm recommending that be the first area of interest, including the city clerk's office. Budget review, we should always be doing a budget review. As an advisory committee, there's no way that we can dictate or even put a plan together without actually knowing what our budget is. And it's my understanding through the parks director, Ms. Patel, that the only decisions that we're making as a body is on capital improvement items, nothing else. And so I know that we've kind of targeted some of those areas in our large current work plan. But as an advisory committee, we should be reviewing budgets. Department policies, that is something that we currently don't do. We don't do it, and we haven't been doing it. So I'd like us to start looking at those within that advisory capacity, current city and outside proposals for parks and recreations to review. I was really disappointed that FOFSA went around us and not even include us in the discussion of wanting to lease one of our parks in our areas, which is something that we could have added ahead of time in our work plan so that we can allow ourselves to help in that development and have some say in that. We are an advisory committee. We should be getting these reviews so that we can make our determination, and they have more of a stronger case when they go to city council and make those asks. We didn't have that happen, and we don't have that happen. They got on the agenda and we had no idea that they were going to produce that. And I say that because we have favored FOFSA and Sustainable Seaside for quite some time. And there has been 4 other organizations that have tried to approach Seaside to do something similar as far as leasing parks for community gardens. And those were never even taken up. And so that also brings my point to equity. Current city council proposals, considerations, if it has to do with parks and recs, we should know what those proposals are, and we should have some sort of an idea, because we could already be targeting those and preparing ourselves for next year's work plan. That would be an ongoing goal of ours, because we are the advisory, so it would give us an opportunity to always have those ongoing areas. The next one is the programs, fees, operating budget, and collaborations. This is the area where I added the collaborations. And just for context, all the 17 goals that we had on our original work plan, I subsequently put them in each one of these 5 goals, so that if we do take 2 of these goals, we can target each one of them and we know exactly what we're going to be working on. And that would be under the area of interest. So within this area, the commission will request operating budgets from the recreation and park directors for the January meetings of the next year. Presentations on current projects, lists being worked on. I know that Carolyn Burks that was here was kind of giving us an update of those kind of things, but it's starting to seem like a trend when we have people that leave, that doesn't continue. So unless we're asking for it consistently, then we get it. I think that should already be an automatic when our directors are presenting to us. The January 25 review of the recreation and parks programs and fees during this time, because our current mission and our duties currently say that we should be having some input on that, and we haven't done so. So that would fall under those programs and fees. Review current city partners and commissions requests to collaborate on projects that align with our work plan goals. These collaborations include other commissions like environmental, NIC, and city partners. I don't think none of our work plans should be specific with a third party city partner, meaning that we shouldn't specify that we're only going to help FOFSA, we're only going to help Sustainable Seaside, we're only going to help certain individuals. We should keep it equitable and just say city partners. If they do approach us to have us help, we can include that in our work plan. But as Commissioner Moulton had previously said, when we have certain grants come up, or now that FOFSA is focusing on getting a grant to facilitate community gardens on a larger scale, that is something that could have been added to our work plan had we known about it, and we would have been prepared for that. But that wasn't the case here. So if we streamline that and not particularly put on our work plan that we are working with these individuals, but put it as a city partner, we can then target those at a more mystical level, meaning that if we're going to utilize program fees, operation budget, and collaborations for this work plan, then we can include that FOFSA that would like our help and our collaboration on getting the lease or getting some sort of access to that park that they're looking to. Parks and Recreation Commission community events. This is another area that we can include when we're talking about collaboration. So that includes Blues in the Park. That includes also Earth Day. That was a great collaboration, but that also wasn't in our work plan. That was a a recommendation that was given to us, which took our time away from another work plan area that we did not tackle, including the Blues in the Park collaboration. Number 3 would be the staff support and community enrichment. So that targeted some of our 17, the areas of interest that I put in there. Participation in field user group meetings, meaning that those individuals that use our field, potentially having group meetings with them in public areas so that we can get more collaboration when we talk about communication going from our commission out to the public. We do have a lot of rentals. We have a lot of community members that come into our city. It would behoove us to know who those are so that we can do our due diligence and continue our work outside of this dais out to the community. This also includes the attendance of workshops, one yearly that state, federal, or locally funded recommendations be prior to the beginning of the year. So if we want to focus on a workshop that we want to make sure that happens yearly, those recommendations need to come from our liaison to let us know, hey, these are the workshops. Which one would we want to incorporate in our work plan for the 2025 or 2024-25 work plan that we are creating? The Capra Park grant, which is the presentation that, I moved on. Seek yearly input for needs within recreation department and funding for those needs. When we talk about funding, instead of like having one of the examples that was given at the last meeting, instead of having someone say, hey, there's a grant for a skate park, should we start working on that? Grants or possible yearly grants that happen through state parks can be brought to us so that we can include those and then help put a pathway together on how to reach those grants. So we're targeting 1 or 2 grants each year, meaning that we're putting that focus on that so that we're not just putting grants on there and not actually actively working that work plan goal. Youth involvement in parks. This also goes with enrichment. A lot of our field users cater to children. And so with our group meetings that we can have with these individuals, that could open up our areas of interest when we want volunteers or we want the youth to be more involved in our parks and recreation. Number 4 was review of capital improvement plans. I put that in there because it was my understanding that we as a commission only look at capital improvement projects, which is why we have our work plan. So in order to streamline that and really narrow down and target our objectives, I put the budget presentation. So we want to know what Parks and Recs is asking as far as capital improvements within their departments, so that we can also gear our work plan towards that, so that we are all on the same page and we're not having, folks from, what is that? What's the other department? Public Works representation come up here and not have answers when we talk about Sabato and the swing set there, right? These are all things that we should already be getting updated without having to constantly go back and forth. The Capra Park grant, really discussing that, since it seems like it was something that the council was leaning towards. That is something that we should look in, because at the end of the day, we're talking about leasing our property, meaning that whoever leases, there's certain legal components to that, which is why the city council also is looking into it. Dog parks, one of the items that during our charrettes or our open houses that we did for our master plan, there was a lot of folks that wanted to identify potentially another dog park within the city of Seaside. So that could be an area of capital improvement. Laguna Park pathway, explore the idea of lights and trails grants. That also is a capital improvement area. So though we have it in our work plan, it is a capital improvement because there's already been funding allocated for the Laguna Grande one. And our work plan also talks about the Havana and Lincoln Cunningham, trails, which we also have funding for. So it would be nice to kind of work our work plan around those capital improvements so that we're not doing work on things that we're not going to see come into fruition anytime soon. So that we can have tangible solutions and things that we can see happen at this moment or within the next couple of years. Review locations for an indoor facility. That is something, that is a capital improvement project that we did have a big, we had community involvement in that, as far as having indoor gym, for having more, and just in general, our recreations department, if we really wanted to include, say, all of MPUSD at the Older Center, we wouldn't even be able to fit one school there. Like, and we saw that at the Easter egg hunt, you know, we had to separate people, and it's just like, it becomes a fire hazard. And so if we're not starting to brainstorm on what that's going to look like in the next 2-3 years, we begin to grow, we're going to have a larger issue in our hands. Increase the community awareness of the policy input process for parks and recreation programs and projects. I put that under a capital improvement because I've heard many of our commissioners talk about communication. And so I think it's time that we start putting money behind that communication within our own commission, so that we can really hone in on our community members. I also put specific grants to aid the current CIP projects. For example, the funding for the trails, if there's specific grants that we can look into or city staff can look and bring it to us. ADA playground equipment is also an ongoing thing on our work plan, but it is a capital expense. So we have to start looking at that as a capital expense, because when we give this knowledge out to the community, they think that it can be easily done, when in reality, when we talk about budgets, it is listed under a capital improvement. Unless we've been fined or we've been legally told that we need to change it, then it becomes a general budget expense. Irrigation, such as underground water tanks for parks and improvements at community gardens, that's also a capital improvement. So I want us to start thinking about that, because if we start adding it and we're not hitting those goals, it's because the capital improvement budgetary is already allocated to other items. And so we should focus on those instead of giving ourselves more work that we may not see come to fruition anytime soon. Explore the trail systems in Seaside at Havana, Solis Park, Lincoln, Cunningham. So those are the capital improvements that I've heard that we can maneuver within this goal. And I just want to point out that each goal has these. So it would behoove us, if we adopt all 5 goals, to maybe just pick one that we would target, maybe the capital improvement one. The last one that I added was the advisory body for an active transportation plan. This is a big subject matter within just Monterey County. And we would be the first to have it within a commission, a subcommittee. But I just put it on there just for us to start thinking about that, because when we talk about trails, when we talk about transportation, it's big. There's a lot of grants out there. There's a lot of state and federal grants that we can tap into now that can set us up in the future. And so those were all my recommendations. Again, within the areas of interest is really where we can make those changes yearly. So say that maybe this year in the area of interest, we take on the staff support and community enrichment goal. And then if we don't want to target workshops this year, maybe we can put it on for next year's work plan. But I did incorporate all our current work plans. I just kind of prioritize them in a way where they're targeted. So we can say, hey, we didn't get to that because we focused on goal number 3 that, or goal number 5 that was capital improvement. And then that way, all these areas of interest can change when we get the budget review, when Dan brings us and says, this is what we're proposing in our budgetary for capital expense. We can adjust those. And it gives us a clear indication what we hit this year in each area. which also coincides with with the updated current mission and the proposed mission, the vision and the proposed values. So it kind of incorporates that.
Very good, very good, presentation. Who wants to go next? Commissioner White? Okay.
Oh, policy.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. That's all, Commissioner White? Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Gaines. Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Nielsen.
Thank you. Thank you so far for your, your input. Really, a lot of work done there. Appreciate it. I was comparing my work plan list as you went along, Chris, Commissioner Moulton. And a lot of what I put as ongoing, you put as ongoing. I feel like it kind of lines up fairly well. One thing that I know is supposed to be a function of the recreation department is, and I don't know why there's so much emphasis on it, is landscape and trees, and that's in our, is it in the ordinance? And it's mentioned like 4 times in a list of 12 items.
Let's do public works, not recreation. Because you gotta remember that this commission oversee, is part of 2 departments, recreation and then with parks falling underneath public works, so.
So some of those responsibilities are almost impossible for us to manage. I could see our tree giveaway program and trees in parks. I don't see us able to, we have never addressed landscaping in any other part of the city. And I'm not sure, at least some of that should be condensed down. But anyhow, that's just one comment I had about when I was looking over these, the ordinance and the work plan. So what I put as the 5 goals for 24-25. The first. No, I'm just, no, I didn't submit anything. I just made notes for myself on that. Seek input for needs within recreation department for what possibly you need for programs and equipment. Like for instance, when you do the luncheons and you need carts or different things like that. Is that part of what Parks and Recreation would be doing under this goal?
It could, yes. The challenge is a lot of the times, unless my staff comes to me on the needs, I don't know about it, but if the commission, when they participate, they see things, that would be a time to advocate for needs that you would see it from the outside looking in, for, whatever we need in our department, right? So, recreation is a large department. And so it is definitely, I go off I can't see everything myself, so I do need help from staff, from the commissioners to, make those recommendations, because, it's helpful.
And it says gather, review, endorse needs and funding for inclusion in the 24-25 budget. So I think some of those things are important instead of, I think we should improve what we have and keep it, working well and functioning well before we add other things. That's number one. Number two is work.
Hold on.
I'm sorry,
Commissioner Malton.
Commissioner Nielsen. So that one was one that you want to keep. Is that, okay, just
Right.
making sure. Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Was that listed as? Was that listed as?
It's number six.
Number six.
Six
Yeah,
on the
it's number
old?
6 on the old one. Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe, can I make a suggestion that we put a green line through that one? Because that's ongoing. Always,
Yeah, I don't think it should be
and then it
Disre-
won't have to be. part of-
disregarded.
Okay, so
Green line.
can we do a green line thing with that one also? Correct. The old. Yes. It's, yeah, instead of the red line, we'll put green line. That, in my opinion, is a simpler solution. Commissioner Lowell.
I think the purpose of removing this was because it was redundant. In our duties, it already states that we're supposed to do that.
Well, that's what it says in the right-hand column. It says remove this as it is covered by the basic duties of our commission per handbook, page 9.
So,
But we can put it in the ongoing thing. It's no crime to do that. And it's like another gentle reminder. Okay, moving on.
Okay,
Next.
going. Number 2 is number 9. Number 9, work with other commissions, Public Works and FOSPA for tree planting. And the reason, that FOSPA is mentioned is because they are for sure stewards of particular parks. And without them or any other nonprofit organization who wants to step up and plant trees and water them for 2 or 3 years until they get established, that would be great. But we know that FOSPA is a nonprofit and we work kind of hand in hand with them because they have high visibility and they participate in city goals. I mean, they're like partners in some ways, stakeholders.
Okay, you're on item number 9. on the old
9.
thing. Okay, now on the right-hand column, it says remove covered by number 4. You look on number 4 and it says in the little right side thing, add to proposed activity, tree planting and support community gardens. So that takes care of it. Right? Okay. Yes. Commissioner Lowell.
I'm with agreeance to removing that and also work collaboratively with city partners and other commissions. I don't think we should focus on FOSTA specifically,
No.
putting them in our work plan. I think that if they are stewards and they are doing their due diligence, then it should be city partners and other commissions. We shouldn't,
I agree.
Well, I think that's what number 4 says. Work cooperatively with FOSPA and other city commissions, homeless, NIC, SAHC, environmental, and
No, but what Carla's, what
But-
Commissioner
but-
Lova's saying is that not identifying it specifically in the
do
work plan,
that. We
just
can do
leaving
that.
it general.
Yeah, just leave it at general to work collaboratively with city partners and commissions.
Okay,
And then that way, you know, we can narrow it down if we want to, when it comes to certain particular, like the tree giving away, project, they're gonna assist with that, but I don't think that we should name them because FOSTA did participate when we did the first tree one, but by second tree giveaway, they no longer had capacity.
true.
So.
Okay, so we'll
Thi-
clean up the language on that one. Is that an agreement with?
This isn't. This is not quite correct,
Okay.
although. The Neighborhood Improvement Commission is the one who designated FOSPA to get $4,500.
True,
So. That's,
but we don't even really need to call
but
out
we
any
don't
specific
need to
one.
put
We can just
FOSPA
do
on here.
The work cooperatively with other,
Well, with other
Entities.
nonprofits or businesses.
I would say city partners.
whatever.
Sorry, I would say city partners because that will include businesses, nonprofits, and commissions will include every commission. So in the event the NIC does give them another funding, then we can say, oh, okay, well, that's a partner that we're working with for that particular project.
Sounds good.
Partners is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds
Okay.
good. And number three, is number, it's number 14 originally. I
We got
would,
green line now, right?
yeah,
We did.
but I,
Number 14,
well,
And
maybe I should,
the
okay,
original thing.
don't equate it with number 14. It's just my recommendation.
It's gonna stay, but it's ongoing.
Yeah, that one's ongoing, but
Okay.
I'm wanting to put one on there to
Go ahead.
goal number 3. Goal number 3 for our work plan for 24-25 is, I'm suggesting add, I don't think recruitment is the correct way, but encourage younger residents of Seaside to become a commissioner.
I think that would be outreach.
Yeah. Yeah, Commissioner Lowell. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know that one of our duties right now is to be the communication between our district and PUSD. So perhaps that outreach could be us commissioners going to a school site and telling them about our commission. Like I had an elective for Bayview as a commissioner. And so I gave them all this information about how to become a commissioner and then also what you can do within the commission and how you can apply that to your schooling. And so what we did is we changed a policy under the guise of this commission and how we ran this commission to change a policy within Bayview's school policies. And so perhaps that could be.
Well, I'm looking for I'm thinking adults. Don't you have to be an adult to be on the commission?
You have to be 18. to be
Well,
on
we
this.
have a youth commission that is inactive right now. That we
But
can,
are they 18 and older?
no, it could be school age, but
No,
it's
youth-
inactive.
That's not what I'm talking about.
She's talking about for this commission, but
Our commission. I'm
yeah,
looking
but
for-
still, what I think you're trying to say is you want to increase outreach for potential new commissioners. But you may not want to, I don't think you necessarily want to call out by, age.
Well, adults. I mean, somebody who could
Yeah,
qualify
For
to
sure.
be on the committee.
I hear that, but I think the correct term is we want outreach for new commissioners.
Okay,
And if that outreach how that outreach could look like would be maybe events that hold adults and not like family events perhaps, if we're looking to do that.
I mean, and I think that kind of falls in line actually with Carla's C,
Exactly.
see,
It's on there.
with the staff support and community enrichment.
Yeah,
Like it could be, a goal under that.
good point.
okay,
Like that, huh?
I like it.
Me too.
And let's see, if you. I'm realizing that some of the things I've made as 24-25 work plan are actually not things you can put your hands on. And I know it's important for our commission to have things that you can actually see and feel and touch. I would say I really like the idea of reviewing locations for an indoor facility. I feel like if we put that on ongoing, that's just kind of on the back burner. I think it's important to be really active in this search. And I think if all commissioners and staff have that as a high priority, it might happen sooner than later. So that's one of the things I would like to see on 24-25. And the other one is we still haven't gotten a plan for an adult fitness area or course in any of our parks. And I think that should be one of our goals for this year. In line with things like blue zones and, making the trails. You're going to say something? Would you like to say something?
Well, I just want to say that it is on phase 3 of Catino for that. And, I think the commission, I know we're trying to develop the work plan, but big CIP items like that, it's a little late to get added for this work plan. And I really think it would benefit the commission to listen to the budget hearings or study sessions over the next 2 days.
There tomorrow and the next.
Tomorrow and the next day. I think that there will be some information that you'll find very intriguing. Just as it results to the city as a whole.
I just have a question. The adult equipment, I was gonna mention the Catino, but were you thinking of another area or maybe another like park that we should start thinking about where we could put adult equipment? Cause I know that it was also mentioned at the Parks and Recs master plan about older folks having something kind of like Roberts Lake kind of pathway. So was there like another area that you had in mind?
Well, a park that's big enough like Lincoln Cunningham, or you could even, Lincoln Cunningham would be the other option where it would be big enough. Or Laguna Grande, but that's a little more difficult for people to get to. I mean, if you want to walk on one of the new trails to get to the workout equipment, you can go to Lincoln Cunningham or Havana Solis, or to Catino. And that's pretty much my input.
Okay, thank you. Just keep in mind about the Lincoln Cunningham thing, because there's really limited parking in that area,
We
that
want
park.
people to walk.
But I do agree also about the reviewing locations for indoor facility, and it is a green line thing where it's ongoing. And maybe, in my opinion, it should be high. And we can always keep coming to council meetings and pushing that idea forward. I plan to come to the budget meeting Wednesday, which our Parks and Rec money will be reviewed during that meeting.
Is that on
On
Zoom
Wednesday.
as well?
So anyway, everyone has had their chance for input on this. I really like all the work that Chris and or Commissioner Moulton and Commissioner Lobo did on both aspects of the thing. So should we take this one part at a time? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept this as we have reviewed and made changes to this part, the work plan.
Should we go through and see which 5 we want to do based off everyone's input?
Well, I think we did that.
Well, I think
I mean, just so that we know exactly what.
Okay,
if I may, from what I'm gathering, and it looked like what Commissioner Lobo put together actually incorporated everything that Commissioner Moulton had in here in a different way, but it did put it into, it combined everything, all 17, into 5 plus 1 added committee. With the exception, I think, of the equipment, the fitness equipment, which could in theory be thrown into the capital improvement as another line item. But however, if I'm missing anything, let me know. But I mean, Commissioner Moulton did lay it out in his very nicely as well, like combining everything. So, and I do want to, for the record, I know there was a request that I bring for the ordinance in July. We do not have a meeting on July 4th. And I have pre-approved time off for the next council meeting in July. So it would probably be in August, the earliest I could bring it.
it's life. Okay, so should we put this as the number 1 item
Well-
on this? Yes, Commissioner Gaines.
I think we should choose which outline we're gonna go with. Are we gonna go with Commissioner Lobo's outline? Or are we gonna go with Commissioner Moulton's outline? And if there's something in Commissioner Moulton's outline that is not included in Commissioner Lobo's, because she did do a very, very detailed
Yeah.
outline, so. I think that's the first thing we should do is choose which one we're gonna go with. And if there's something that we need to add to whichever one we choose, then that's what we do.
Yes, Commissioner Moulton.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. I wasn't trying to, I was just like, this is my homework for me and I wanted to share it with you guys because unfortunately, like we could have 100 things, but we can only have 5. And so some of the stuff has to get cut. And Commissioner Lobo did a fantastic job. It's so ambitious. My only thing, I wrote down what you said, but somewhere. But if we pick all 5 of these, we might as well have 17 items. If we were to pick one of these and then put all, like, say you take D and you make these 5 things your things, my problem has always been with the commission, it's like squirrel. Like 5 minutes ago, we started talking about athletic equipment at another park, and we took 5 minutes to do that. And what I'm saying is, like, for me, I want it to be as like basic as possible. Like, here's 5 things we can actually do. Let's talk about them until they get done. You know what I mean? And so that's all my thing is. You don't have to, like, you could take it home and burn it for all I care. What I'm saying is I was just trying to cut out some things and make it 5 items. That's all I was trying to do. So that's it.
Yes, Commissioner Lobo.
I understand what Commissioner Moulton is saying. If we adopt mine, we can pick one of each of the 5. So if we're going to focus on, as our advisory, we're going to focus on department policies. We can take one of those. For program fees, if we're going to focus on community events or review current city partner commission collaborations, we can pick one of those. for staff and support and community, we can pick, youth involvement or seek yearly input on recreation. That way we narrow it down and we still have a list if we do. We could still pick from, I guess you could say, and everything else could be ongoing once we pick our 5 within those 5 goals. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Commissioner Moulton.
Sorry, just kind of going back to what Commissioner Lobo said, while she was going through hers, I did note that 2 of them directly crossed over, which was number 1 on the original plan, which was the CIP and budget review she specifically mentioned, as well as number 12 on the original plan, which was irrigation for parks. Those 2 literally were like in her plan and also on our existing plan. So thanks.
Okay, what's your pleasure? Vice Chair Nielsen.
I see number 5, improve the sand at volleyball court at Highland Otis. I think that's already something that's not. It's already kind of done, even though it's not done.
It's still not done, so it still can be a work plan item. It hasn't been completed yet.
Right. I keep bringing that up to them. So. What is your pleasure? Yes.
I motion that we approve my work plan proposal with us choosing areas of interest within those 5 proposals, so that we can have 5 goals.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the work plan that Commissioner Lobo put together and choose one of the 5 areas of whatever.
Before you vote, Chair,
Yes,
we need to go out to public comment.
okay. Public comment is now open.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Wishing to make public comment.
Okay, seeing no members of the public in the chamber or approaching the podium, public comment is now closed. Should we do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay,
Commissioner Lobo,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton, Commissioner Moulton,
No.
Commissioner White,
No.
Commissioner Gaines, Commissioner Nielsen,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nielsen said yes. Chair Maxwell,
yes.
motion passes 4-2.
Okay, very good, everyone. And thank you again for all of your hard work, Commissioner Moulton and Commissioner Lobo. Okay, business item B is the agenda item that we added, which is canceling the meeting the regularly scheduled meeting that was scheduled for June 17th, 2024. So I'll entertain a motion to do.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to cancel the meeting for the June 17th, 2024. Public comment is now open.
Members of the public wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium.
Seeing no members of the public approach the podium, public comment is closed. Under the question, anybody have any other comments? Okay. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Lobo,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton. Commissioner Moulton.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines. Vice Chair Nielsen.
Yes.
Chair Maxwell.
Aye,
The motion
Okay.
passes unanimously.
thank you. So our next meeting will be here, the third Monday in July, July 17th at 5:30. This meeting is now adjourned.